most beautiful presentation yesterday, live to a school, 100 and something or other students in year 8, as we call it, at St. Teresa's Catholic School. Gosh, they were well behaved. We did lots of gratitude exercises. So they invited me to talk about gratitude, which was fair given that I've got a best-selling book or two about gratitude. But it was so delicious to be back out on stage, and there was this fancy new room. Anyway, of course, the question was, which session should I show them? And that's the topic of today. Which session do you think I should have shown a bunch of 13-year-olds who were being forced to listen to some guest speaker that the principal thought would be a good idea? Okay, being happier. Being happy is the answer, because of course it's like the perfect solution. The cool thing was that lots of the teachers that were in the room were completely fascinated by the concept of positive priming. And I don't think that we have Vary McGowan here, but I just have to tell you, Benny and I did, oh, look, that's Cameron. That's Cameron with, guess what? The cup of coffee that goes with the piece of toast that I just quickly ate. He's gone now. Darling that he is. So he, the principal was really interested in listening to me tell the story about Vary McGowan. So I started this week really early on Monday morning talking to Vary McGowan, who is a teacher. She's really a specialist in inclusive education. I can see Gail Ratchford, you're here, woo! So another educator. Anyway, Vary has the most beautiful story. So with her 6-year-olds, she gets them to watch Positive Prime. She shared the whole story in the podcast with Benny. And here I find myself a couple of days later in a school. I don't think there's any coincidence. I think there's something happening. And I love that something beautiful is happening. And I've literally just jumped off a great meeting about Positive Prime becoming available to students in an online university. And this opportunity is being created by Linda in our Epic community. And so she knows the president of the presidents of these 10 huge universities. And they're now looking at how they actually roll out Positive Prime for students, particularly to deal with anxiety prior to assessments and so forth. Which session do you think would be best for those students? Well, I do know that there is a woman named Kim Jackson, also another Kim, but a different spelling, K-Y-M. She's like an executive coach, but not really, that's what, or not, a performance coach is what she calls herself in Hollywood. And she actually became quite well known in the circles there amongst those who are trying to get their break in Hollywood. And she was an Aussie, is there any coincidence, whose name is Kim. And a decade or more ago, she went to Los Angeles to make it big. She's been in everything, you name it, like Law and Order and this, that, and this, her like list is this long. But anyway, she runs this program that teaches actors how to actually survive, like earn an income, like actually do work in Hollywood. And her session is called something rather performance. Do you know, I should start screen sharing, shouldn't I? I should start screen sharing. Before I go too much further down this rabbit hole. Okay, so who has something that they would really like for me to hear about something in particular that you really want to break through it, like an area? What? And I'm going to try and do a little bit of a foundation. If you really want to break through, perhaps in a financial area, you might feel like the most appropriate content for you is like financial success and freedom. But it might actually be surrendering and letting go. That might be a better session, right? Because so much of us are so constricted around the not having enough to do what it is that we want to do, that sometimes we've forgotten to let go and let God, or we've forgotten to ask for some universal divine energy to actually assist us and support us. We've forgotten that if we're really intentional and we're of a very high vibration and frequency, and we let go, then all sorts of circumstances and situations and people will actually work on your behalf to your advantage in the unseen, in parallel universes. No, really in the real world, but you've got no visibility to any of that. It doesn't mean it's not all going on for your favor. So when we tap into this knowingness that miracles are occurring and that magic is actually real in our own lives because of who we're expressing ourselves as and who we're being, then maybe the answer is surrendering and letting go. Right? Does that make sense? So I would love for you to ask me. For those of you who don't know me, I am Kim Serafini, the founder, creator, inventor, CEO of Positive Prime Technology. It is always a great honor and a privilege and a pleasure to be here with all of you. I come in service. I come in love. I know what we've created is remarkable. Should I do a quick top level overview explanation of exactly how my Positive Prime session works? Oh, Gail is saying yes, please. Okay, so, alrighty. Let's just say I'm going to choose Brett D. Scott's Supercharge Your Mind. Pretty sure it's a good example. So now in the area that we call the kind of customer portal or the platform or the membership area, you can just choose any one of the 3 that are featured on any particular day and just go for it. Allow yourself to actually be entertained and inspired by that which you don't know that you don't even know that you may need. All right. It's a really interesting secret of the universe. Sometimes what shows up for us is actually a sign that we need to be paying attention of. And particularly if we're a little like me, and in my prayers, I'll say, please show me what it is that I need to see. Allow me to hear what it is that I need to hear and help me to do what it is that I must do. And thank you for having me open and available to seeing what I needed to see and to have heard what I needed to have been listening to. And so I now live a little bit more in the calm confidence that what's meant to be, that's in the best interest of my higher self and that's going to serve the mission or the purpose that I'm on, is going to happen. It's going to unfold, right? Now, when I cut myself off from that knowing, it's a bit like, and I've used this example before, it's a bit like we're all vacuum cleaners and we plug ourselves into the wall, except of course if you've got a Dyson, cordless these days. But anyway, let's just say we're in an old-fashioned vacuum cleaner. We've plugged ourselves into the wall, and we're, instead of really sucking up dirt, we're sucking up awesome ideas and amazing opportunities and incredible little pieces of the puzzle that helps us to manifest our greatest desires, right? So when we're in this really wonderful state, wonder is actually really a part about what's unfolding. So often, what Positive Prime does for me is it puts me back into that state because I've slipped out of it. In other words, I've either turned off me or I've pulled myself out from the wall, which is really pulling myself out from understanding that there is this matrix that I am tapped into and that I don't need all of the answers all of the time. I just need to be gracious and be in this state that's anchored in gratitude and allow what is meant to unfold for me to unfold at the right time, at the right pace, for the right reasons, with the right people and so forth. But I, maybe like you, can get in my own way. And so sometimes the act of watching a Positive Prime session is an exercise in honoring myself, in cherishing myself, in proving to myself that I am of value. and that my dreams are worthy and I'm deserving of achieving anything is that I want. And what I mean by that is that I drop into just allowing this session to flow in front of my eyes for about 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 15 minutes or 30 minutes. It's actually a ritual of love. It's a ritual of respect for myself, that I am worthy and important enough for my life to actually become what it is that I truly desire. So it's really an invitation for maybe you to consider positive prime as that, right? The other thing that I consider positive prime as, and I'm just going to actually show you a little bit here. So I just clicked personalize. I cannot believe you've shown up today, Gail, because I haven't seen you in a little while. You're still looking beautiful and gorgeous and fabulous and wonderful and excellent. I often think, Lachelle, that you remind me a little bit of the energy of Gail. You two should definitely get to know you. And Anita, I can tell that you would just giggle forever with Gail, right? So Gail was one of our really fantastic, engaged, positive prime professionals, a couple of seasons ago, but she's vibrant and she uses positive prime and she's achieved. And see, I'm going to show you why. Can you see this diamond necklace here, this image in my personalizing? Gail, I was telling a story that you wanted to manifest a diamond necklace and you went to Google Images, didn't you? And you got a photograph of a diamond, didn't you? And you, or something to that effect, a piece of jewelry. And then you uploaded it into your personal collection, and then didn't you win it as a raffle or you won it as some kind of charitable event that you went to? You're allowed to unmute yourself and quickly have I got that story completely messed up?
Kim, it's funny because I started with a plant, and it was the plant that I was at this little festival, and I wanted this particular plant for my office. And I had put it in my positive prime session when I very first started. I mean, really, really first started. And I thought, okay, if this is really happening, I'm just going to try with something very low risk. And I did it with this plant. And lo and behold, we're at this festival, and a lady puts the exact plant that was in my positive prime session in my hand. I'm like, what is going on? And she's like, we're the Garden Club of Farmington. You have to take this home with you. Like, okay, this is crazy. And so then I wanted this diamond necklace, just a solitaire bezel set for all you jewelry fans out there. And I thought, all right, I'm going to do something really fun. And I put this particular diamond necklace into my positive prime. And I don't know, within 2 months, I was wearing it around my neck. And Kim, I've been a little bit busy doing all kinds of things with my business. And I've got to say that every single thing that I have wanted to manifest from here to here, I've put in my positive prime session, and it's completely 100% worked out. And I've many stories to share, but it's a remarkable tool that I simply cannot ignore. So thank you for putting the Zoom together today.
You're gorgeous. You know what I love about Gail? She had, of course, no idea that I was going to call on her, because I had no idea that she was going to be here with us, right? And so it's just incredible that you are. And I was telling your story, and I thought, you know what, I wouldn't mind a little bit of a diamond here as well. I mean, I have some other really stunning diamonds, but, you know, not one here. Well, actually, I do, but no, I could have a different one. Anyway, so I went to Google Images and I got a photograph of a diamond pendant. I literally, you know, save as, I put it in my own folder, and then I uploaded it and I added it in, and now every single time, here's the interesting thing, I think of you as well. And so maybe it's been a manifestation that you've shown up here right now, and you haven't been available for at least the last couple of months, because you're right, you're so busy leading your team that's expanding. So I hear these little snippets of this incredible momentum that you created, right? Because you're amazing. But is it any wonder that every single time and you saw it was the most recent one I've uploaded because it was in the top left. of my personal collection. So I've been seeing it pop up, and this is what I want everybody to understand. And now I'm going to go back to screen sharing because I have a feeling that God, the universe, our angels, our guides, our guardians, our ascended masters, or actually just our marvelous imagination, right? Our incredible imagination, if you know, believe Einstein when he said that imagination is really the most important ingredient in all energy and all formulas. So what if, as I've seen it popping up and I've been thinking of you, I've actually been attaching my energy to you and you've shown up in my world again? And what could this mean for all of the other personal photos that you could have that have meaning and significance to you about people who are important to you, who you may like to work with or play with or go on vacation with or do a joint venture with, right? So this is a session. Let me just, so that rep one, by the way, I pressed select all and I pressed play. So it's here, see, where it's here. So I'm going to explain a little bit about Positive Prime as we go, and then we'll talk about some other sessions. So I'm going to slow it all the way down to speed 1 to begin with, right? And because we're on Zoom, what's actually interesting is that we have about 1,000 frames or flashcards that are coming from the server and into an actual Positive Prime session, right? And it caches in Google Chrome. And the best thing for you to do is to actually use Positive Prime on, say, Google Chrome on your laptop. You know, it was interesting yesterday because I looked in the Netflix app and I had a subscription and so did Cameron. And then I cancelled my subscription and I was going to resubscribe, you know, when Virgin River produces the next season or whenever, right? No, that's not really a good example. But I clicked and it said, if you want to sign in, you have to do so on a laptop. And I thought, isn't that an interesting message inside an app that you can't actually subscribe to Netflix from inside an app? And it's a little bit like most general consumers don't know that in software development, some of the functionality that you really want to enable a piece of software is only available because it's part of the Google Chrome platform. That's what happens when you put a Positive Prime session inside Google Chrome, inside an Oculus Rift, if you're doing an immersive experience with some virtual reality, right? So some of what we've been building with Positive Prime is optimized so that there are peak performance sporting coaches who have their athletes watch Positive Prime sessions. Even though it's inside an actual phone, they do so inside Google Chrome as an app on their iPhone inside an Oculus Rift. Okay, so having said that, right? I want you to know that down on speed 1 is actually the best answer for you if you want to be able to absorb the messages. All right, so we'll go here and we'll start showing again. So on speed 1, which is basically down here, you use, I'm going to go and mute this message for music for a second. Speed 1 allows you to actually settle into the messages. We as human beings don't really like being tricked. Okay, so sometimes if something goes too fast, like I'll just go all the way up to speed 10 and see at the moment, because I'm on Zoom, it's just way too demanding for the system to also show me the session on speed 10. And if I slow it back down, it's going to start again. But you watch, the minute I actually stop sharing and I share again, it's going to pop up again. So let me just go here to share. All right, so what happens, as I was talking about personal images, is that it flashes up in between the actual content of a session. So in a session, you'll have 800 photographs and you'll have 200 statements. And most of those statements are fantastic affirmations, afformations, self-fulfilling prophecies, incantations, etc. Most of them are designed to help you with your identity in a really elegant, transformational methodology around change management. And so in between what is the content of a particular subject or a session, in this case, it's produced by Brett, you'll see photographs that are yours flash up. what that actually does, oh, there's me with like wads of cash, which is really interesting because I've never thought of doing that until about a couple of weeks ago. I had all this cash and I thought, I'm going to take a photo. I don't know about you, but I always use cards these days and not cash. But somebody wanted an enormous amount of cash and they did. I don't know why, but anyway, they did. So I got out all this cash. Oh, look at you, Anita. You're hilarious. I love you. Hey, you love cash, right? I love cash too. So anyway, what's happening there is that my brain and my identity that allows for me to believe that the content is true and accurate for me. So you are a multimillionaire, all right? I'll tell you what's really interesting about what you just saw flash up there. If I don't believe that, however, I see photographs of myself, what's actually happening is that my identity is now wrapping around the content. It's much easier for my superconscious and my subconscious and my unconscious and my other than conscious to actually accept that. So when you watch a positive prime session at the beginning, you might read that and it might not feel right for you, but the minute that you personalize the session is the minute you actually, it's like you open the floodgates. It's like now you can actually receive the messages as if that fire hose is coming at you and you can drink it, right? You can drink from the fire hose. It is possible. But what you kind of have to do is you have to allow it. You have to actually open up the floodgates. You do that by personalizing these positive prime sessions. And it's because of the way we as human beings interact when we see our own name and we see photographs of that, which really brings to life us and our experiences. So we know when a particular photograph is meaningful and significant to us. So here's what I was going to suggest to you. Make sure you've got photographs of items that are in your house that you're really grateful for that are meaningful to you. It could be a vase or a vase. It could be a painting or a sculpture. It could be a dish that your mother gave you. And I'll tell you what's interesting is that you attach this energy of comfort and familiarity. And the energy of those is good if you're not yet comfortable and familiar with being a multimillionaire, right? So what you're actually trying to do is you're trying to actually create this beautiful woven energetic link between what it is that you really do want and desire and deserve and maybe what is current reality. But you can create that superhighway and you do that by personalizing, right? Does that make sense? Now, we speed up positive prime sessions. We go faster when we actually are resisting a little too much what it is that we're seeing, and we need to bypass the conscious critical judgment factors of the prefrontal cortex, right? So what happens is content can literally go in and our dream board, if you're using positive prime sessions as a version of a vision board on steroids or a dream board, you're planting seeds into your superconscious where there is no argy-bargy. There's no trying to wrestle with, is that true for me or is that not? Because in a kind of a visual hypnosis state, you've actually gone past the guardians that normally would have you reject something. Okay, does that make sense? Anybody got any questions just yet? So you get the idea. The faster you go, the more you allow the content in. It's much better if you've already personalized it. I'll tell you the absolute truth. You must have already personalized it if you really want to go really fast. I'll tell you, I did screenshots of my bank account, which was at, I don't know, millions of dollars. It reminds me that that's what I've achieved. It's not to impress anyone. It's not even there to impress me. It's there for me to know how powerful I am as a creator and allow me to have the courage to continue doing something extraordinary with my life. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean. All righty. So let's stop sharing for a moment. We've got at least another 10, 20 minutes. Who has something that they think is of value to everybody else in the room? So just like hold your hand on your heart and say, if I was to talk about what I'm struggling with or where an opportunity is that I want to break through, would this be in the best interest of everybody else here listening? And how do I actually ask succinctly, concisely, beautifully? And then I'll give you the best answer of what I think the session might be that would work for you. Okay. Somebody
Kim?
has said, I have personalized it once, but I uploaded it. It has not let me play the video. What am I missing? That sounds a little bit strange. Are you logged in? Have you reloaded and refreshed? I haven't ever had an issue where I've personalized, and I admittedly have 1,000 things coming in all the time, and I watch various sessions throughout a day. So sometimes I have to reload because I've been timed out from a security point of view. So I reload and then I go back to dashboard and then I choose the session again. Julia, I can see that you've got your hand up. Hello, beautiful.
Hello, thank you for doing this session. This is awesome. I just have a quick question. So some of the slides said, I am whatever, and some of them say you are. What's the difference and why?
I love that question. Gosh, you're perceptive. So a lot of people don't believe they're I am. So like I could say to you, I am a billionaire. And from a kinesiology point of view, and I know that that's total BS because I'm not a billionaire, not yet anyway, right? So if you, however, are somebody that I admire and I respect and I really want to impress, and you're in a position of authority, and you say to me, hey, you know what, Kim? You're a billionaire in the making. I'm going to believe it because of the power differential. And guess what? It opens or it turns up the volume. It's just a momentary, oh, I'm going to allow that idea in. So as children, you'll remember this, you would have heard, gosh, you're amazing at mathematics, or you're so clever. We as human beings, we believe more the you are statements. The you are statements are necessary in transformation. A lot of personal development and self-improvement work focuses around the I ams, right? We don't live as islands. We're part of communities and families and cultures, and we instinctively, deep within our other than consciousness, know that. And so we have references. That's the way we organize the world. So when someone says to me, Kim, you are kind, I believe that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because I'm going to allow that to emerge because I saw you are. So in all positive prime sessions, there are statements that actually say you are, because in most cases, the author of the content, so the person who actually created it, and we just saw Brett's, if I know, like, admire, trust, respect Brett, I am more likely to have my other than consciousness believe what he's saying to me as if he was sitting on my shoulder and he was doing a little coaching session. And see, that's the remarkable thing about a positive prime platform right now as it is, because every single member on the planet has access to all of the content. They can have over 100 coaches sitting on their shoulder, like right now here today, saying fabulous things that their other than consciousness needs to hear. Right. So it's a brilliant question. Did it answer?
It did. Thank you very much.
More, yeah. From a cognitive dissonance and cognitive resonance point of view, and I know that you know this stuff, Julia, right? From the way that we actually allow ourselves to show up in the world and who we're being perceived by from others has a greater impact on our behavior, doesn't it? The teacher who sees the student as a good student, the student actually then, from a self-fulfilling prophecy point of view, actually then behaves like a good student, which reinforces the perception that somebody has. And we as human beings, we know how others perceive us, and we then act to that role. It's automatic or autonomic. It just is what it is, right? So it's a really interesting question that you've asked. It's such an important part of the formula and how and why our sessions actually work.
And I have one more question.
Okay, great.
Can I ask it real quick? So when you're personalizing, do you just put pictures in, or do you also put phrases in?
Excellent question as well. Love it. Thank you. So I do both. So I'll tell you, there might be some people in our community for whom they're either Buddhists or they're Hindus. And so they could see a statement that says God loves you, but for them it might be Buddha, or it might be some other, like Lord Shiva. I would say do what resonates with you, what you know is your truth. And for some people, like I might just go in Canva or create an actual statement. So I had a goal to get to a certain number of members of the Positive Prime community, but now I've got a new goal. So I've gone in there and I've deleted the old goal and I've actually got it written out. And I have, do you know what the funny thing is? I have it several times. So I haven't just uploaded it once. I actually have uploaded it maybe 10 times. So it actually pops up multiple times in some of the sessions that I'm watching. Like there's a session on actions, and I need to take a lot of action at the moment. And so I've got that particular statement popping up a lot in that session that is about taking action.
Thank you so much.
Good answer. All righty.
Excellent.
Thank you. Okay, I can see that Sherry is the next person with her hand up.
Hi. So I have a 16-year-old daughter that I've been inspiring to use Positive Prime, and started with being happier. And she got very upset with me. She goes, Mom, I can't be happy right now. I can't see my friend. I can't do what I want. And it was really kind of shocking for me. And I thought about that. And in this sort of world we're in, is there maybe one that sort of gives us the same positivity, but not being happier? Because it's difficult to be being happier right now for a 16.
You know, Sherry, what I love about this opportunity you just presented to me is I get to explain something about a Positive Prime session I want you to all really hear. The eyes that we have look at photographs of Duchenne smiles, the special scientifically categorized smiles that we know are warm and sincere and genuine, right? So the retina in our eyes processes a photograph of a smile, a particular Duchenne smile, and sends messages to our mirror neurons. Our mirror neurons are kind of here. If we would have horns grow out, it'd be from the area where our mirror neurons are. And our mirror neurons actually send messages to our endocrine system. And hormonally, we start to create the chemical cocktail that is the signature of joy, cheerfulness, happiness, etc. Right? So here's the crazy, beautiful, amazing, incredible, needless. There's not enough words for me. Because every single Positive Prime session has a certain ratio of Duchenne smiles. Somebody who doesn't think that they are happy, so long as they use it as an exercise, activity, and intervention, it's going to do it for them regardless, irrespective of what they're thinking. And here's the crazy thing. The retina in your eyes, as it's looking at this photograph of the smile, we know this scientifically. You don't think you're looking at a smile. You think you're smiling, which is why this chemical reaction happens and you create these endorphins and serotonin and dopamine and oxytocin. It's why your endocrine system actually literally kicks in. Not because you're looking at a smile, but because your brain processes it as you thinking you're smiling. So it's a healthy thing that your daughter watches being happier. And what I'm going to suggest is that if she was to watch it a couple of times and allow herself like a soft focus, it's going to work on her biochemistry to her health benefits, quite frankly, from where she's at. And what happens as we literally go up a little bit and up a little bit and up a little bit and up a little bit, guess what? We start to resonate with more happiness. A lot of us don't find the happiness that we think that we're seeking because we're not at the level at which we can resonate at the happiness that we want. So we actually have to be really gentle with ourselves and allow ourselves to just go up the ladder a little bit and up the ladder a little bit. Like you can't turn yourself into this incredible broadcasting tower or like a satellite that's up there that's actually going to beam down and literally have the whole world being able to access your vibration or your connection, right? So it's such a great question. Now, having said that, there are some more gentle sessions that she can watch. And I believe that Calm Down, Relax and Enjoy is also another session that is important, that it will allow her to just settle into the potential for happiness. It's a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant question. Now, there are so many other amazing people in this group. I have here Patty Krummer. Patty is really the head of Positive Prime in North America. Patty, you must have something that you can add here, because you've got a teenager and you've got a child in their early 20s, and you're living in North America, unlike me. So you're dealing with the same kinds of issues where children really believe that they can't access happiness at the moment. So what would you suggest?
Thank you, Kim. I just love being with everyone here. Thanks for coming. Great questions. Yes. So I have a son who's 18, and his freshman year in college during the pandemic, he realized that he had anorexia, and it was a result of so many ups and downs and ins and outs. And one of the things that he struggled with was, what do I do about it? And I just don't fit in, and I don't know if I can get to a coach or somebody to sort me out. So this is one of the things that I suggested, is just sit in front of this and let this pour in. You know, pick any session you want. Sometimes it's just trying something and just relax, because the stress buildup, the wanting, the not understanding yourself as you go through changes, and that's true for any age, is honestly washing over you in any of these sessions that you pick. So that's what I suggested to him, and he passed that on to a few of his friends. And what I wanted was for it to just take over the dorm. I can't say that that happened yet, but it doesn't mean that I have let that go as an opportunity. And I feel like he did move through a lot of the struggles that he had. I can ask him specifically which sessions seem to speak to him the most, but the main thing I said to him was just allow some of those to sit in front of you, wash into you for 10 minutes, and take your mind off of anything else. So Kim, your comment to Sherry about calm down, relax, and enjoy is really relevant to what I said to my son.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. And do you know, there is actually one other session by Leah Lund. She's a great coach. It's called Feeling Good on Purpose. And sometimes we need to have conversations around our agency in the outcomes that we're seeking. So we have to consciously choose and decide for ourselves that we do want to experience a little more playfulness, a little more joy. And so sometimes I actually have to do that for me, like not take things too seriously, Kim. I might have post-it notes that say, remember, you wanted to have fun, right? Because all of a sudden I got pent up about something and there was this emotional charge, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Because I wanted it to be really fun and playful, but that's often about me choosing to show up as somebody who's really fun and playful. And then I kind of get this reaction or this dance based upon my own beingness, you know? What I definitely want to address, given that what's going on, and Donna, I see your hand up, so I'll get to you in 1 second. I really want to address with you some other sessions that I think are pertinent to right now. So let me just quickly explain to you who Elizabeth Bradley is. Elizabeth Bradley is an extraordinary woman. You can actually read here, but I got to know her in Florida. Someone recommended that she connect with me and vice versa. Now, she actually is a mortician. I think that that's one of the professional words. She's an expert in grief. She is on a special task force, and she was like the mortician for the Pulse nightclub shooting. But that was like her 10th major national disaster. She'd done work in Haiti, etc. And she's a counselor, and she's just a gorgeous woman. How this was serendipity and synchronicity and coincidence and kindred spirits and soul mates, right? In terms of colleagues, she literally had a pacemaker implanted at around about the same time as I did, but hers was just this freak that she was going in for a tiny little procedure on her finger, and while she was hooked up to all the devices, they noticed that her heart had a pause. and she was rushed into pacemaker surgery instead of having a finger done. And it was because she literally had her heart pause stop completely, exactly like mine, which is called a cardiac arrest, which is totally different to a cardiac, heart attack. Anyway, off she goes and gets a pacemaker, and she comes and talks to me, and we had this giant conversation about her getting a pacemaker. And I'm saying, look, I've had these really interesting unconscious episodes, and my heart, I didn't know that at that stage. Well, I didn't know because I'd only just had this device popped into my chest that was now monitoring me. And literally, like, bang, a week after this incredible conversation, what's it like to have a pacemaker? Did the surgery hurt? I had my big unconscious episode where my heart stopped for over 20 seconds and I end up in the ICU, and a week after that I end up with a pacemaker, and now my heart can never stop again. Now that's a reason to dance and be playful and happy, right? So guess what? I can now no longer go unconscious, which is, I mean, it's you have no idea what that feels like, because for 2 years I never knew when I was going to go completely unconscious and like smash my head on the floor, which happened once, and I, broke everything. So Elizabeth Bradley has a pacemaker as well. You didn't really need to know that, but might be interesting for you. What is fascinating is that I actually watched this session as I was going through my own healing journey, because when you have a change in your life, like life hasn't turned out like I thought it would, you actually have a grief process about a dream not becoming reality for you, or a future that you had anticipated or expected then not being able to come to pass. It's a grief process. So part of healing actually is a grief process. And so I would recommend that no matter who you are, no matter, like, it's not just about, say, going through a divorce. And going through a divorce actually has a really significant grief aspect to it. It also has a really significant forgiveness aspect to it. So we'll talk about forgiveness in a moment. We have a brand new professional leader who's going through our certification at the moment, who has been a reverend, a chaplain in a hospice for decades. And she's actually about to produce beautiful content for us, Lee, on this subject of resilience and grief and so forth. But this particular session by Elizabeth is amazing. It's very well received and respected. And having said that, also, I don't know what it is about Dr. Trauma, Dr. Diane. Now let me just put in here trauma. So, Transcending Trauma by Dr. Diane Shelton. She's an amazing psychologist. And here's what's fascinating about these two ladies who I introduced to each other. Diane was the psychologist for the Sandy Hook incidents, and she did all of the EAP, like the actual psychology services for the parents and the children and the community and the teachers and etc. Right? Diane is amazing. I truly believe that our culture misunderstands trauma. If we have a business that goes south, or we have a project that implodes or explodes, or we have a real upset in a relationship, or we have some kind of significant accident or incident that either abuses us or hurts us or harms us, all of it in some way, shape or form is trauma. And all of us in a healing process go through a trauma process, like we all go through a grief process. And so I would highly recommend that everybody on the planet right now adds in Diane's session, not because you need to be the victim and go, oh, wow, I've been traumatized and I want to stay here and wallow in this. No, because you actually want to do something proactive, and you want this to have a purpose, and you want to move through with grace and ease and joy and speed. Yeah. Now, having said that, we also have a couple of sessions on forgiveness. Some people make dire decisions around their finances. Either they are overspending, or they got themselves into an investment that then basically either imploded or exploded, or they did something that they regret, and there's some guilt and there's some shame around it. Reverend Karen Russo actually has another session called the Money Keys, but I think this financial forgiveness one is also excellent. So I've made some seriously bad mistakes with money in the last 20 years or 30 years. I invested in a business without really doing my homework that was teeth whitening, with a manufacturer that then went bankrupt. And so then couldn't supply the product, even though I'd already sold it into like 5,000 beauty salons in Asia, right? So I was seriously about to lose face in Asia because of this. It was a decision. It was a decision that maybe I didn't know what was going to happen, but I should have thought about how to mitigate the various risks. I didn't even think about what all the risks were. And so if you've gone through any situation where you're kind of beating up on yourself, like I should have known better, well, maybe you didn't, and maybe we don't know what we don't know. And so there's a little bit of grace that's required, but also this financial forgiveness session is really a good one. It really is. You know, I say to a lot of people who, here's another Reverend, Reverend Karen Russo and Reverend Misty Young. Misty's actually run this, gosh, the connections are amazing. So Misty lives in Boise, Idaho. I've been to stay with her. She's a lovely, fun woman. She had a career in the pharmaceutical industry. Anyway, she became a Reverend. She wrote this incredible, really successful book called The Forgiveness Solution. She's got a rather extraordinary personal story. I don't want to reveal, take the punchline away from you in case you go buy her book. Anyway, she then became a death doula. And I didn't even know there was doula related to death, but apparently it's a thing. Anyway, so then the next thing I see her opening up retail shops in Idaho in the last couple of weeks in healthy juices. How juices and being a death doula and forgiveness, I don't know. But maybe she wants a little bit of a few different things going on in her life. But anyway, it is a beautiful session. I say to so many people, you know what? Relationship breakdowns, most of the heavy, hard work is around forgiveness. And so there are a couple of sessions, and often it needs to start with us forgiving ourselves. It's got nothing to do with the other. It's really about forgiveness and the kind of compassion we show for ourselves, because we did our best at the time given who we were and what we knew. And the minute that you can really live in that, you free yourself, I think, to open your heart and mind again to the lessons and the gifts in the situation. So for what it's worth, there are a couple of sessions that I watch regularly. I'm quite consistent about it because so much is happening in my life, as I'm sure it is in yours, and it behooves me to watch some forgiveness, trauma and grief sessions, even though I'm like shooting for the stars and I'm like, I want to be pumped up and fired up and, like celebrating. There are other aspects of my fractured soul that always will be needing to have some kind of beautiful healing going on. Alrighty, so does that help? Does that help? I hope it helps. I work pretty hard at the moment, so I've been watching a little bit of romance and intimacy, and it's a little risque. It's not R-rated, but it's a little risque. And when I watch this one, okay, so I'm going to tell you the truth. I've had a couple of really long-term significant relationships, but they'd all had these nasty stories associated with them. And I read every book I could possibly find on relationships. There's a Harville Hendricks, there's a, way beyond John Gray's Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. I read all these books, I did all of these exercises. I was diving deep because I knew that I wanted an exquisite relationship where I was allowed to become the very best that I can be. And that needs a really special kind of man to let me spread my wings because I'm pretty strong. I need somebody who really feels very sure of themselves and also wants to go on a spiritual and personal journey with me, right? So it's a tall task to spend your life with Kim Serafini. Anyway, I created Romance and Intimacy, and I would be watching this session and I would like, here's the secret. Feel what it would feel like if you were actually experiencing that right here and right now, even if you're not. And even if you have no idea how you're going to. Because that was the case before I met Cameron. And so it's the same with the manifestation or achievement of anything and everything. As you're looking at the images, I want you to go beyond and really feel. Don't intellectualize it, drop it into your body and feel what it feels like to be free and confident and that everything is working and all is okay, right? Or whatever the actual images represent to you. Feel what it feels like just to be so relieved. Feel what it feels like if grace is really living in your soul and in your heart, and you're just allowing and you're trusting and you're being faithful and you know everything's going to be okay, right? Feel the relief that something's being sorted out for you. Feel it and then be incredibly appreciative of it, and it will manifest faster. I promise you that has been the experience of the last 5 years of my life. And Patty, you have literally worked with me day in and day out for 5 years. Is that not the truth? Even as I faced an autonomic nervous system disorder, kind of diagnosis, it's not like I don't deal with that every day, but I do it, don't I, with more grace, more ease, and my healing has been speedier than anyone would have imagined.
Oh,
I can
I
see you
can
nodding.
I can totally affirm that, as I bet many of you on the call can also, because some of you have known Kim too through some of her stories as well as just witnessing her. So yeah, I totally agree. And in the seemingly darkest moments, there's been a rising up of you that I've been astonished about, like this knowingness that you're going to get to the other side, and this thank you, the living out the gratitude. And some of the things that inspired me when I was not going into the depths, like under the knife or whatever. So yeah, I can definitely vouch for it. And we have to say the positive prime has something to do with it. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so thank you for adding that. You're a beautiful woman, Patty. Okay, so Donna, I can see your hand up, and I definitely don't want to leave before we have your comment or your question.
Okay. Well, this is great. Thank you. Sorry I was late, and I don't think anyone asked. I looked through and I don't think anyone asked this question, but what happens to me is I get very sleepy when I watch these things. And I don't think I've watched an episode where I haven't dozed off. And I watch them for like 15 minutes. And I'm wondering, do I just need more sleep, or is this thing doing something to me?
Okay, so there are 3 answers to that question. Sometimes our other than consciousness needs us to power down and reboot up if we're actually taking in a lot. So can I ask you, Donna, are you actually a really sensitive person? Do you identify yourself as somebody who's empathetic?
I wouldn't know.
No. Tell me, have you had a massage before and fallen asleep on the table?
Yes.
I have a suspicion that you are an open soul. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. See, I think you're not resisting what it is that you're seeing. So can I ask you another question? Have you seen some changes in your life and changes in you that have been subtle that you've actually been really pleasantly surprised about whilst you've been watching Positive Prime? Are there parts of you that have shifted that you're kind of pleasantly in awe of who you've been in a particular situation?
I have been, and I can't, I do so many different things right now. It'd be hard to say it was Positive Prime, but very well could be. But I have had, major, things happen in the last year or so. So yeah.
And have you actually had this calm, quiet love for yourself, for who you've been in those situations and what's actually emerging? Like if you were to be quite reflective,
Mhm.
are you a bit like, oh, I really am amazing?
I'm getting better at that.
I love your honesty, because it takes an enormous amount of courage and bravery for you to actually just be in a group and allow me to ask these questions. So here's what I think is happening for you. Can I also just ask, are you watching on the standard speed? So you press play and you allow it to play. You don't speed it up and slow it down.
Most of the time I do the 15 minutes that comes up, but a lot of, not a lot, maybe 30% of the time I slow it down because I want to read the words. I get frustrated when I can't read the words. And so I slow it down more than I speed it up.
Right, okay. I'm going to suggest that you speed it up a little bit more, and I really want to encourage the control aspect of your personality to allow, right? So one of the things about positive prime sessions, if you speak to a hypnotherapist or a hypnosis expert or a rapid transformational therapist, etc., is that they often can see the value of positive prime as a visual hypnosis. Hypnosis, from what I understand, and I'm not a hypnotherapist, is that it's about flooding. And what actually happens is that if we allow ourselves to be flooded, we actually can get into the little nooks and crannies in the subconscious, which have a hold. That's where our limiting beliefs are. And with positive prime, I often explain to people that because every single time we press play, it reshuffles. So we have this neuroplasticity effect. What happens if you allow it to go at speed is that it actually bypasses, or it goes beyond or further than just your conscious and your subconscious, and it goes, if that's the iceberg, where the bit above the waterline is the conscious and the bit below the waterline is the subconscious. Most people think of these all of these kinds of interventions or treatments as dealing with these two things, and most people think that limiting beliefs are here in the subconscious, the part below the waterline that we can't see. Some people here have already heard me say it's actually about the ocean in which the iceberg is existing, right? We at Positive Prime, through the speed, we actually access the ocean. And as the ocean's quality and health allows the iceberg to pop around in, right, it actually informs the iceberg. The ocean is actually the important thing. And most technologies up to date have not been able to allow us to access the ocean. So it's almost like, I want you to imagine the trillions of, water particles that there are in the ocean are like the trillions of stars, the quadrillion stars that are in the universe, as the cells in our body, the neural networks, the neurons in our brain. We're talking magnitudes that we can't really fathom. And what is special about Positive Prime, its varying speed and its reshuffling, is actually that we go out there and we plant. I want you to imagine it's like we put the nutrients, which are our personal dreams and wishes and hopes, and these photographs that we have about what we're grateful for, our family, our friends, our pets, etc. It's like we're dropping these nutrients in amongst the water particles or in between the spaces in the stars.
So
I think you need to be a little bit more engaged, and I think you need to allow your brain to let go and drop from this intellectualizing absolutely into the embodiment. And I think you'll love it, actually. You might need to mix it up. Watch it fast and also watch it slow. I do both. I watch it slow and I also watch it fast.
Okay. So one of the things that makes me think is I've been doing neuro movement for 5 years. Yeah. And I teach it and I do it. And I wonder if that is not part of the thing that's happening is, I just like, I have more things going on than the normal person.
Yeah.
Because I do that work, I teach that work, and I totally agree with you. The brain doesn't know if you're imagining it or you're actually doing it. It does not know the difference. So keep imagining.
With this movement as well, and with walking, you're activating both hemispheres of the brain. And so walking meditation is fantastic. If I could, I can. So some people have seen me do webinars where I've got my rebounder here in the corner because I bounce. So I bounce up and down against this screen. And so I'm actually using this dual hemisphere, this action of activating both aspects of me whilst I'm watching a positive prime session. And we know from some of the studies done with children with dyslexia that if you can get them to read and to spell while they're bouncing on a rebounder, you have some breakthroughs there. So I would dare say that absolutely all the work that you do it's like a beautiful enhancement. It's a lovely marriage with positive prime.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for your beautiful adherence and attention and love. Let's just, sprinkle some love, just send some, beautiful, pure thoughts. I wish for everybody that your dreams become reality. Right? I wish for you all to contribute more and that you allow yourself to have fun doing so. Right? I wish for you all to go out there and make a positive difference. Okay? I wish for you all to just realize how beautiful you are as a human being and allow yourself to be that for more of the time. Let's turn that volume up. Love it. Okay, so do you want me to really quickly read through here? Have I missed anything before I go? And Patty, is there anything you'd like me to add?
I don't have anything to add. Only one thing, which is if this is number 5 and you got a lot out of it, every one is a very unique experience. So there's 4 more you could go back and listen to between now and when we have the next session, because they're all just so juicy and so good and so different from each other, from the other ones that we've done. Lovely.
Thank you, Patty. And of course, we will do this again next month. So if you were too shy to share, or you actually want to send me an email and have me address it, I'm happy to do so. And I'm so sorry I've gone over, and I actually have another couple of meetings that are back to back, so I need to escape. Mwah. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.